How's it, cuz? It's time to Walaau with me, Mr. Walaau, Dickie Chang. Join us as we meet your uncles, your aunties, your brothers, your sisters, uncles, cousins, neighbors, grandmother, all the ohana. We'll take you to breathtaking places you've never been. Meet famous people you've never seen. Kick back and cruise, you know the ruse.
The day has to end. I'm so happy we made new friends. We'll meet tomorrow, same time, same place. Looking forward to see your smiling face. Walaau, the day has to end. I'm so happy we made new friends. We'll meet tomorrow, same time, same place. Looking forward to see your smiling face. Walaau, 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 Walaau.
Aloha Kauai, mahalo nui loa, and thank you for joining us this week in yet another exciting and informative episode of Walaau. I'm Dickie Chang. Today we're going to be taking you to the Menehune Fish Pond. Everybody knows the Menehune Fish Pond on the outskirts of beautiful downtown Lihue in the Niumalu area overlooking Na Wili Wili. Now, we got the beautiful lookout point itself. We're going to tell you about a long-awaited restoration project of the Menehune Fish Pond. Some call it the Alekoko Fish Pond, some say Alekoko Fish Pond, but nonetheless, we'll have an opportunity to speak to Hawaiian historian and cultural expert, Randy Wichman. We'll also have an opportunity to speak to the project manager, Paleke Flores, and of course, one of the organizers of the event, none other than our very dear friend, Mason Chock, Council Member Mason Chock. But first, one of the hardworking participants of the restoration and cleanup was none other than the Honorable Mayor of the County of Kauai, Derek S.K. Kawakami, and our very dear longtime friend that's been telling me about the project for many, many, many years, a very proud and jubilant volunteer, Albert Genovia.
Oh, it's a historical day. Yeah, it's been a few hundred years already. Yeah, since we was talking about actually trying to restore, or even what we used the idea of Alekoko or the Menehune Pond. Yeah.
You know,
Well, what is it that we how does it represent us here on Kauai?
and Alberto, you've been very resilient. I mean, why does this place mean so much to you?
Well, the only thing I could remember when I first identified this place for me was I was writing a story about it and exactly what it kind of represents for us, and of course I used it in speech class in Kauai Community College, and I know nobody was going to rebut me. so I kind of used that just because I wanted to cheat. Because I know nobody knew nothing about it, right? And so, but we do use it for visitors to talk about the Menehune, and it is a what is that? A thing in its own identity. You know, that's a vast aquatics farm.
You know, in my humble knowledge, is this Alekoko Menehune Fish Pond the only inlet Hawaiian fish pond in the state of Hawaii?
It is. It's 127 acres of fish pond.
You know, one of the things about it is if you travel Molokai or Oahu or different places that are known for its fish ponds,
Yeah.
at least this fish pond from a vantage point and a viewpoint, it's pretty scenic and you can at least see it. You know, like a lot of places you drive by, you don't even know the fish pond exists.
Yeah, exactly. You can actually, well, nowadays they got the rafting, everything that takes you right by it. And but before, you know, you couldn't really get close to it because of the way it is situated in the inland of between the ocean. And of course, there's no actual pathway that comes down to this area. So yeah, it's all covered up by all this vegetation. But
you know, Alberto Genovia, you made a little bit of light and you made a little bit of a humorous note, but on the in the sense of everything, way over 30 years ago, as a student at Kauai Community College, you actually had an opportunity to meet the late great
keep acting like you're taking
Bill
more pictures because I'm doing
Kikuchi,
video.
the
Yeah.
doctor and the historian. And when you heard words from him, what did he describe this place as?
exactly what it was, you know. It is a thing for our community that actually feeds our people, the people of Kauai. That was back in the time when there was just the people that lived here in this area, and it's amazing because I can see why they use this place here because of the different kinds of fish that the king wanted, I think, at the time, and that's what he always said was he gave you that whole description of how it manifested, I guess, because of this area and the different types of aquatic life that is grown right here just for the royalty.
What is the aquatic life that grows here?
Oh my God!
Fish-wise, prawn-wise,
Yeah.
crab-wise, what is it?
Yeah, Samoan crab, prawns. You got the opai. You got brackish water. Yeah, from brackish water it goes fresh water all the way to the ocean, and wow, you got a good vast of different arrangements of dinner.
I know, like
Yeah.
you get a largemouth, smallmouth bass.
Well,
you
never
get
have
blue
bass. Yeah, back in that time. Yeah,
but now get.
now get
But you
No.
also get papio. You
Yeah.
get
those are
probably
are
ahole
the
hole,
invasive stuff,
or you get the kind of barracuda, all of that.
barracuda too. Yeah, sharks.
I don't think a lot of people understand that barracuda is a part of the kaku family, the
Yeah.
kind of like the wahoo family, like that. But barracuda is a really incredible,
good.
good eating fish.
It is. Yeah, and easy for catch. Just don't let them bite you.
Oh, the buggers got some sharp teeth. Anyway,
got
last
some
but not least, I know this day means so
Yeah.
much to you. You've been pitching this for years and years and years and years.
I've been trying
What
to
is
tell
your
you,
passion?
Well, I've been trying to ask you to come down and we go canoeing up here so many times,
But
Just to take a look, yeah.
I know, but so what? He go ahead.
Yeah, this is nice. This is a great event. I remember the days of Pila Kikuchi telling me about it, and just finding out and just getting information just to write my story of for speech, and create a little something that I could talk about in class. And he gave me a whole spectrum of aquatics life and how he actually became the professor up at Kauai Community College.
If there's anything
Yeah,
that you
anthropologist.
want to let the viewing audience know about Bill Pila Kikuchi, like one of the lasting memories that you would like to say about him, what would you say?
If you can read his material, yeah, come check it out. It's online now, Amazon.
So, for the benefit of the viewing audience, thank you so very much. Alberto Genovia
Dickie
wrote
Chang.
wrote the music and the song of Walaau. And last question is, inquiring minds want to know, were you in school at Maui Jim sunglasses?
Hey, I got them from Dickie Chang. I stole them from him.
It's wonderful. Malama Hulu'ia has really come together and all these organizations to restore and to protect and preserve a very special place for our family. It means the world to us because, my great-grandmother Komolole Kapaka, my great-grandfather Sam Hop Pak, they lived in Hulu'ia. My mom was born and raised in Hulu'ia and, they farmed there. And so I can remember when my mom was alive, she was like, hey, who is this group, Malama Hulu'ia? And I was like, I don't know. She goes, well, you better go help out. And so, this is the very first time I got to come out and help out and represent the family. And it's just heartwarming, to bring, so many hands to Laulima, this very special place. It's really, truly what Kauai is about.
Now, was your mom's maiden name Kashima?
Yes, it was.
Because the Kashima Ohana is a big, well-known ohana in the greater Hulu'ia area, or as we go into the greater Kipu area within that area itself. But for yourself, you came here this morning with a ho'okupu. You came with one pohaku.
Oh, yeah.
What was that historic significance?
Sure. So they, this group, Malama Hulu'ia, they built in Ahu. And Mason Chock said, hey, would you mind bringing a pohaku from Hulu'ia, being that our family is from down here? So, I drove down to where my mom used to live, where she grew up. We went to the river crossing where we used to go prawning as kids. And I got a pohaku from that very special place. And, part of, I got to lay her to rest in that area. And that crossing is very significant to me. Whenever there's a big debate or a forum or something big, I always try to go down there and just be quiet and just feel my mom and just feel the energy of our family that's grown up there. It's very, very spiritual.
Derek Kawakami, when you did grab that pohaku, did you grab it or did it grab you?
No, it grabbed me. It was, it was there, and it just felt like the right one. And when we placed it, it was almost like, it fit right in. There were big ones, smaller ones, but, that ahu, they left some area in the middle for it to continue to grow. And that stone, that pohaku, just fit right there.
That's the reason I asked you that question, because when I saw you place that pohaku, it was like one right fit in one jigsaw puzzle kind, mana, not even knowing what size, how big the kind, you know what I mean? It just...
That place, like I said, is vahipana to me. It's some place that I continue to go to feel that mana, to feel, all my family, the ancestors that grew up back there, Auntie La France, Kapaka, that whole bloodline is from Hulu'ia. So I'm so glad that these people that are not even from the area are coming together to malama and protect it. It's heartwarming.
And that's a really good point, because when you look around, I don't really see any commonality except the fact that when the call came, people wanted to malama, which is like pretty crazy when the day started off like it looked like it was just going to be dreadfully pouring.
And it cleared up, and it was a perfect day to work. And I can't wait for the next one. I encourage everybody to go online and Google Malama Hulu'ia, find a way to contribute or to volunteer. Just the ability to get the amount of manpower that they got out today is just amazing. We did so much work in very little time, all with our hands, just all together, and it's inspiring, Dickie.
Well, not only inspiring, but I think what's inspiring is that people actually and genuinely care, because, the light at the end of the tunnel is far away, but with everybody working together, we can do something that would be historical, not just for Kauai, but really state of Hawaii and pretty much throughout our country.
Absolutely. This is setting the tone. This is how things should be. When you take a look at the madness that's happening around the world, and you take a look at something like this happening here at home on Kauai, we are setting an example of people coming together. I've met people that I've never met before in my life that just came out here to help. So this is what it's all about. This is Kauai, and that's why I'm proud that this is our home.
What's kind of on a personal note, you're a waterman, so if you're going to surf out at Amonia's, or you're going to stand up paddleboard down Hulu'ia, or you go paddle canoe, or whatever you're doing, it's nice to know that people are thinking ahead and in this way for really, really good cause, because we all use the land, the air, the sea, the quality of the water, and everything else. That's what makes it gratifying, isn't it?
Absolutely. And and this Alekoko Fish Pond, it was used to feed the people, and this is what we're doing. We're going to restore this fish pond, and it's going to feed our people once again. We're going to bring it back to life.
Hi, I'm Shannon Iona, and welcome to King Auto Center, your premier auto center on the island of Kauai. We are the Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, and Honda dealership on the island. We have many, many vehicles to choose from. Some 2018s, some 2019s. I myself drive a Dodge Ram. I like the ride, I like its power, 4x4 capabilities, everything that you would need in a truck. Once again, I'm Shannon Iona. Come see me here at King Auto Center. We're your lifetime friends.
Healthier is quality care close to home. Healthier is state-of-the-art facilities and the largest and best team of doctors on Kauai. It's specialty care and caring in a special way. Healthier is Kauai's only comprehensive bone and joint center, with expertise in joint replacement, hands, feet, ankles, and sports medicine. Wilcox Health, creating a healthier Hawaii.
Welcome back, Kauai. Let's head on back to the Menehune Fish Pond. Again, some refer to it as the Alekoko Fish Pond, some says Alekoko Fish Pond, but nonetheless, here with us is the project manager of the fish pond, Paleke Flores, and of course, one of the organizers, the organizer of the event, Mason Chock, council member Mason Chock.
It means so much more than just a cleanup day, but that's what we're here for. So people have come out and participated with their many hands that have gathered to help us initiate or kick off this community initiative, which is the clearing of Alekoko Loko'ia. But what it means more, I think, symbolically for the community is about reconnecting with an intention to look forward how it is. Not only we as a people can know who we are, as a people, but also who we will be in the future. So I believe that this local year effort, as you've seen, Aloha projects along, even statewide, is representative of that. And we have a great board who have been working. A group of people have been working over the last 5 years to kind of initiate this demonstration project at Pu'ali, now translated into something bigger, a bigger vision. And that's why we brought in the big hitters like Paleke Flores, who was instrumental at Hi'ia, local ia, because really, being the largest local ia vai in the state of Hawaii, we know that there's so much intention, so much careful approach to what it is we need to create in the foundation to be successful. We knew that we need the right people, the kama'aina, not only from here to come together. So what we got is a real big collaboration, the people from this community, Niumalu and Ha'iku, but also as it expands to the whole island, right? What this meant for us symbolically one time on Kauai, and what it can be. So I'm super stoked that we got a big turnout today.
When you make mention about a big hitter, literally a big hitter, Paleke Flores, you born and raised originally from Waimea, correct?
Raised Waimea, born Hilo, but my family from Hanapepe, Waimea Valley. So I got to move back home, back Kauai, 5th grade summer.
So you're a pretty young guy. I mean, you're a very young guy. So you're officially what we would refer to as a caretaker. What is that job description?
Well, more the operations manager. So we still got the kind of just trying to strategically set up our movements for the cutting of all the mangrove, and just making sure that as we cut the mangrove and start exposing the wall, that can make sure we can keep that intact and not jeopardize it any more than what it is now.
Interestingly, when you folks were going through the protocol, you asked for apology, and the reason you asked for apology was perhaps maybe one or two of the generations prior to this generation may have neglected, the fish pond, or might not have malama the pond and the growth of the mangrove and all this other intrusive. That was kind of eye-awakening to maybe admit that there was some neglection. Was there neglection?
Yeah, like for me, any place we go that has got overgrown, it's like a natural process, right? To like say mihi, say kalamai to that place. So the kupuna that built it from the first start, and for what it was meant to as a food resource to feed the next generations after, and just setting those intentions out and that mihi part of it, kalamai, so that we can start going on physically. And there's a lot of spiritual parts that's still around, and they'll recognize, and I know they'll stop things when they want to. So
at Mason Chock, years ago, you guys started to clear out what is, I believe, known as the Pu'ali stream. Most of us know Niumalu, the stream out at Niumalu, and then you got rid of a lot of the mangrove or much of the invasive species. But a lot of people didn't realize that when things are cleared out, especially as you go upstream, get plenty white sandy bottom. You know what I mean? Like, how crazy is that?
Yeah. I think first of all, with Pu'ali, what we needed to do is really demonstrate to the community, that we could achieve it, because like I said, for generations we've been talking about the need at Alekoko, the need to malama that area, but no one has really been able to actually, do something. So what we did with Pu'ali was we looked at that area, we said, hey, 4.5 acres, let's do it by hand and learn what we can, so that if the community sees us fit, then we can move forward on it and get to Alekoko. So, Niumalu Beach Park is a beach park, right? That's because it used to be a white sand beach with nice blue water, before the break wall and before the small boat harbor. So, what's happened with the mangrove is that it's kind of seeded itself at this mulivai at the front end of Pu'ali, and it's accreted land. It's become, artificial land, if you want to call it. And really what that does is it affects the ecosystem or the habitat. Our native habitat is just truly affected by it, and it's so overgrown that now we can't even get the va'as down for the canoe clubs down the river. So there's a lot more to do. We're going to be here for generations, I think.
Very, very well said. And Paleke, when you and Mason and your group comes over here, I mean, I would have to probably say, I don't know how you got everybody here, but it's kind of impressive when it started off as a rainy Sunday morning, mind you, and so many people came to show up. Chicken skin, huh?
yeah, definitely, and did enough where it's like, sometimes I really feel the people is the one that help put together to bring out the sun and sometimes a good little drizzle in the morning is just a blessing to start off the day good.
You know, and as you folks were chatting, you know, get pilikia, you mentioned pilau, there's other stuff going on out there. But I think this really opened up a lot of eyes because once you get rid of the opala, if you will, the light is at the end of the tunnel, although the tunnel is kind of far away.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's the thing about Makahana Kaike, is we get in there, we work, and we learn from each other, and we learn from the environment. So our ability to, at this point in our history, I think, is to just take action is really key, and small steps along the way. So, you know, we don't know what the future is going to hold for Alekoko. Our organization, Walaau19, is really dedicated to a removal of the mangrove. We know that it's going to take other, you know, champions to step up, to form groups that will malama the local ia, the fish pond, and hey, who knows, maybe one day it'll be a viable resource once again as it was. So,
you know, but what I've been saying to Alberto Genovia or to Randy Wichman, this is an incredible opportunity for Kauai people because as you travel around the Hawaiian Islands, you drive by one Menehune fish, or one fish pond in general, excuse me. You pass by one fish pond, oh, there's one fish pond, there's one fish pond. Nobody knows the significance. Much of the youngsters or the visitors don't know that it's a fish pond. Whereas we got one lookout point that you can overlook one fish pond, and many stories can be told about what we're looking at, yet nobody really knows what we're looking at.
Yeah, definitely that was the greatest stuff we have, is like that point of view to see, because a lot of the fish ponds you can't see it below, and especially on Oahu, like there are people that live by the fish pond all their life and they didn't realize the fish pond was right there on the shore because it's all mangrove. But if you look, on Oahu had way more fish ponds, but if you look at places along the shoreline and it says a loop or circle, most likely it was a fish pond that got filled in and built houses on top, so you fully lost that round. And we're hoping that more like that doesn't happen here on Kauai. So.
Basically, they paved paradise, put up a parking lot, not knowing that the parking lot was once a extremely significant refrigerator.
Resource. Yep, that was our ice box.
Now, what is a makaha?
A makaha is it's referred to as a sluice gate, but it's also that channel that brings in that fresh water, salt water from during the tidal influence. So just like Lo'ikalo system, taro patches, and fish pond, they have like the same structure. There's the kuaona, the banks for the taro patches, the kuapa, the banks for the fish pond, and then the makawai for the taro patches, the inlet and the outlets to bring water in and out, and then for the fish pond would be the makaha, and that is like, the ha is actually the gate. So if you know, some of the old timers still know about the ha that you build inside the rivers to catch o'opu and mallet like that. It's the same concept, but now you're just standing it straight up so that it blocks the big fish from going out, but allows little fish to swim through and stay within the resource.
You know, and with that being said, Paleke and Mason, you know, we know about some of the common stuff in there, but what are some of the aquatic fish or wildlife that we can find up there on the stream?
well, I mean, it's kind of hard to say now. Because of the mangrove overgrowth, a lot of it is very shallow. In a lot of the pond, there are some areas that are deeper because we believe that there's still some water coming up from previous springs that have been covered. I know as a child, even coming into the pond years ago in the 70s, that there were big ulua in there. But what we used to farm here is mallet, is anai, is amama. So, that's what's appropriate for this area. That's what we focused on. But I think what you open the door up when you clear a space, like we did at Pu'ali, when we started to clear Pu'ali and water started to come through, is it creates an environment for all the little fish to come so you see now a hole even in numbers as opposed to just a tilapia, because that's the only thing that could thrive in the mangrove, really.
But you get, you mentioned o'opu, you get like maybe smallmouth bass. But yeah. I remember. Like you mentioned ulua, but papio or maybe mullet, but even like barracuda and...
So basically fish ponds like these, the brackish water, like freshwater, they're mostly meant to grow herbivore fishes. So like the carnivores will come in, ulua, papio, barracuda, but they're going for the babies, yeah. But because that brackish water mixes up, all that nutrients grows limu, and that's what our kupuna realized, that when you grow, the limu's already naturally growing, the herbivore fish, you don't need to feed them. You grow a bunch of carnivores, you're going to have to keep feeding the carnivores. So it's like a system that was already feeding itself that they just started to maintain and, start cropping on it.
How come you're so smart?
got to visit a few fish ponds here and
You know
there.
what's interesting though? You got to get that kind of mana'o because there's not a lot of people out there that have interest or uses words like carnivores or crustaceans and stuff like that. So, you know what I mean? Bottom feeders and all that other stuff. But that's a whole big part of that ecosystem as far as crayfish or prawns and all that other kind of stuff cruising around, huh?
That whole food chain. Yeah, I definitely learned a lot, mostly everything from He'ia Fish Pond. There's an 88-acre fish pond on the windward side of Oahu, and they have 100-year-old mangroves over there. But with the educational system and the college coming in and everybody doing their form of like relearning the function, we got to be there to like learn from that person who learned this section and got to kind of level up a little faster. And just visiting, we get Molokai, all the islands, we got to go Lanai, Molokai, Maui, Big Island, just seeing the fish ponds there and how the 6 different types of fish ponds that we had in Hawaii. And people didn't realize we had 6 different styles, from freshwater to taro patches. That was like our first aquaponics right there, growing fish and kalo at the same time, to pu'ones, sand dunes that were fish ponds.
So do all your friends throughout the Hawaiian Island archipelago, do they now know that you're like the operations manager over here at Hulia? They must be pretty stoked and think like, wow, right on, bro, congratulations, huh?
One definitely within the fish pond communities and the Aina base, the kind, slowly get out. I got, lucky to be home at the right time when this opportunity opened up. And I know I'll talk to a lot of kupuna that always wish to see that wall again. And within our generation, we get time for trying it out.
I don't think it was luck. It was more like fate. And Mason Chock, I just want to thank all of you folks because you know what this is going to do? It's just going to magnify. You know, when you guys say, okay, we're ready for another cleanup, we're ready for another go around. Everybody going to talk to everybody, and you're going to get guys like we had made mention of Randy Wichman about the professional guys with the big chainsaws. Because that's the kind of stuff you're going to need. You know, you can have 100 guys doing a little bit of the lopper action, and you can get about 4, 5, 6 other guys with the big, all of that kind of stuff. That a lot of stuff can be done and can continue to get done because this is not an overnight gig, you know what I mean?
We did 4.5 by hand, right? And so what we learned is, we definitely need, some kokua and some machines. So 26 acres is what we got around the pond that we're committed to clearing. And so this is what that was about today, was really kind of sending the message to the community like, we're here. We're going to take some of this kuleana on. So do know what we're doing. Do help us. Be the champions for us and the voices for us, because we want people to understand that we have approached this from a sensitive perspective. We actually laid a great foundation with the building of this ahu and protocol to welcome in our ancestors, which is where this knowledge, this ike comes from. So we want to make sure that the message is out there that we're doing it the right way. And so, we will anticipate more hand clearing days, but we have a lot of machinery work in store for us over the next 3 years. And you will see other community days like this so that we can get our community engaged. I mean, we know ultimately, as it was with Pu'ali, that what we're looking for is ownership from the community, because, in no time, the next generation, which is already here, will have to take it over.
Well, I think it's a great rallying cry, and coupled with television, newspaper, radio, and of course in this day of social media, I think we'll get Chock people that's going to come. And one of the plights is logistically, this ain't the easiest way to access the enemy, if you will. I mean, you gotta attack them. It's not like everybody can just drive up in bus loads and kokua. It's quite a task just to get to the source.
Definitely strategizing, so that we can make the best out of the hands that come in a short amount of time. And I believe we did super good today. Less than 2 hours, we did a lot of work. Like that would be almost, a month worth of our hands just doing what they just did.
Well, Paleke Flores, you want to take this opportunity to share your aloha out to the public, and then we're going to have a rallying cry from the west side to the north shore, the east side, the south side, because I am extremely confident when the roll is called up yonder, we'll be there.
Yeah, definitely. If you guys got social media, Facebook, Instagram, look for Ia. Also, just keep an eye out, and help spread the word as it goes. We're going to kapu, we call them now, using the social media though to blow that poo.
No, just mahalo, Dickie, for being here to help us kind of spread the message, and to the community, thank you for supporting us. I mean, with the turnout we had today, it's evident that people are hungry for how we can not only reconnect to the land, but be part of it, and have a relationship again with it. So as huge challenges that we have for our community and sustainability and climate change and everything else that's going on with the world, I think that there's beacons of light out there. This is one of those things, I think. And so we encourage everyone to get involved with any Aloha Aina project, to malama the area that they come from, because it is who defines us, who we are, and who we should be in the future.
And interestingly, when Paleke said, he was talking to the kupuna or the older generation, thank you for doing what you're doing. Those are the real people with the stories of what this place was really all about. Because we can talk about, before the brick wall or before the beach park and all of that was white sandy beach, big beach, salt water, all kind of aquatic, what you call crustaceans or what the carnivals. But they know of all the stuff that had happened, and that's all true story.
I mean, kupuna like, Auntie Cheryl Level, Obotake, I mean, there's so many that have gone already. A lot of the Ike, that experience is in Keakua's hands now, and so we ask that they always be present with us, to continue to guide us and what their intention were. So,
and very quickly, I just wanted to say, when chatting with Randy Wichman, he made a great point, because along the Menehune Fish Pond, there's still today lo'i and taro fields along the side. So he was talking about that was historic stability in terms of you had your kalo, you had your, fish. You literally lived off the aina, and I don't want to say it was easy, but they had everything in a very well strategic form of life and living.
Yeah, I believe back then it was super easy for them because it was like brushing their teeth in the morning. It was like second nature already. But to use the whole system within the ahupua'a from above the lo'i kalo too, just the dry land that could grow the land food, to the taro patches, into the fish ponds, and then out into the ocean, the shorelines, and then the ocean. Like just malamaling that whole resource and knowing where the taro farmers go, the fish farmers, guess you call it, go, and then the lawai'a, the fishermen. Two different practices that help bring food into the community and keep everybody well sustained. Because fish ponds itself, from the limu to the oysters to the fish, herbivore fish, which is what you want, but then the carnivores gonna come in, so you're still gonna get good carnivore eating as you keep the population balanced. So it's definitely fish ponds, what we learn, is a great bioindicator of a healthy ahupua'a system. If that fish pond is fruitful with limu and fish, then the whole system is balanced from the ocean to the fresh water, and that's a healthy system. No more food in there, something's wrong, ocean side or Mauka.
So when you guys look at the old pictures, like you look at old Kauai historic pictures or black and white photos, and you see the actual wall without the mangrove or without the invasive species and stuff like that. Is the ultimate goal to be able to see the wall someday? Or
yeah, I think that's what the community has asked for. They like to see this as it once. And my mom, she used to work at the Kauai Surf back in the 70s. I was a little kid, and we used to stop here on the way to work, because she used to take me to work. We had caretaker over there, so we stop at the lookout, and we always would talk about that, my mother and I, about we need to, this place is lacking and needs to get malama, and so what if we could see the wall again? What if we could access this place again? Right now we have a 20-year window, right? A 20-year lease with the Okada family, who's been so generous to allow us to be here, because I believe that what they've seen is that when community rallies, when they come together, they can do great things, and that's what's happened at Pu'ale and Niumalu, and that's what can happen here at Alekoko.
So what's the next step? I mean, when is the next work day? Have you guys enthusiastically thought about what's the next step? I mean, when this gets out, the word gets out and everything else, you guys when's the next rally cry?
So, we have a strategic plan that we've got into motion. This is part of it. It just is front end, it's infant stages. A big part of what I said earlier, the big part of what happened is that we're going to have machinery work occur here. And Paleke folks and his team and everyone will be part of that. The wall will be done by hand cutting. All right, so we will need some kokua there. I anticipate by January we should have a calendar so that the community will now be able to engage. So everyone, for instance, who showed up here, right, will be able to email them and say, okay, we're ready. This is the days we're coming out. So right now we don't have that schedule, but we should have probably, a couple times a month, some days where the community will be able to come. And the work is going to be much different from today. I mean, we got some mangrove to clear, so chainsaws and so forth, heavy work. But we know it's specialized work at this moment in order to clear and actually create a loading area, a stockpile area, and that's going to take some time for us. So
I can just visualize the chicken skin when the canoe paddlers, the fishermen, the military, the visitor industry. I mean, I can just see people coming out and just answering that call because it's going to be crazy. You know what I mean?
Well, we look forward to it. And we know also that with this kuleana of even clearing, there's this kuleana of management, right? And managing the resources is really a big part of it. That's why we were wanting to be very strategic in letting people know about this place, because it's not just like, hey, everybody come, right? Because we'll get a lot of what we've seen everywhere else on our islands and in our state, but that we come with specific intention to give back and make this place better than it currently is. And I think that's the message that at least Malama Huli'ia wants to represent, is that we want to be good stewards to this area. We don't want to just open it up. We want to partner with the community, partner with the owners, partner with everyone who wants to see a better future for this place, and do it in a way so that every single step of the way we are being respectful.
You wanted to say something. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Definitely wanted to at least say it's not the only way too that we're trying to work on and getting community effort. Like, I'm definitely trying to go out into schools and have our keiki come out. Like, right now the fish pond ain't suitable enough for our younger kids, like maybe 4th grade and below. So I'm doing something to prep them up for the work here at Puali. So like, you teachers out there that wanna like crisscross curriculum and bring them outdoors just to learn more Aina-based learning with that high education, and then the 5th graders and above that can handle a little bit more, can be a little bit more aware. We're slowly gonna go through here, but we'll have our older crew just taking down the big stuff so we can create that space where we can start getting our younger ages and more of an educational learning while we're cleaning.
You know, the more I think about this, the more I realize that it might seem like easy work, but I don't know if there's a county red tape, state red tape, federal government red tape, but even if you're bringing in the kids or the keiki, when you're bringing them in, there's a lot of, you cannot come with caquillos or, the leptospirosis. I mean, there's a very big health issue, and there's a very big concern in general for the well-being or the welfare, because there's some pretty gnarly stuff out there, thorns and...
Definitely what we're also trying to incorporate is how our kupuna work too, using the moon phases and watching our tides. So like, when I make the year list, I'm trying to lay out all our tides and see, okay, this is negative tides, we should be dry. Like, by the end of today's work day, it was dry, and that's the part we was hoping to, but because we set the time in, it didn't handle there. But those are all parts of it too, trying to strategize those right low tides so we have more consistent work and safer work too. Wow, right on. So we're definitely looking at the elements at it.
Paleke Flores, and of course Mason Chock, our president of Malama Huli'ia. And by the way, thank you for everything you do for our community. You're a good brother, good man, and you guys get plenty chock aloha, and we appreciate you guys spending the time with us at Walaau.
Yeah, right on. Walaau, brother. Aloha.
Aloha. I'm Barbara Bennett, owner and publisher of the Islands Monthly Community Magazine for Kauai. Available at newsstands, mailed to you by request, or at the Honolulu and Lihue airports. I invite you to join our local residents and read our stories. All local, all community, all Kauai. Read For Kauai magazine on our website, forkauaionline.com, with more feature stories, videos, daily calendar, and local news that will excite and interest you. Visit us daily, weekly on the web, and monthly in print. Mahalo and aloha.
Captain Andy's sailing. Nobody has more fun. Captain Andy's, the ultimate sailing adventure.
We hope that you're enjoying the early beginnings and, of course, the restoration of a long-awaited fish pond, our Menehune Fish Pond here on the Garden Island, Kauai. It is the only inlet fish pond here in the state of Hawaii. We have an opportunity to see the fish pond, whereas many others just pass through the fish pond. unsuspectingly, never even knowing, it is adjacent to most of the ocean coastal waters here in our garden island of Kauai. Here to tell us a little bit about the Menehune Fish Pond. What is a Menehune? Our very dear friend, Hawaiian cultural specialist, Randy Wichman.
This has really been several hundred years of community effort trying to repair this pond. And I know within the last 100 years, there's been many efforts done by the society, the museum, and other individuals. So this is the first time in any history that anyone remembers that the work has begun. This is huge. This is many generations in the making, and we finally have taken the first step today.
You know, a lot of the local residents, as well as the visitors, when we go by the lookout and we look at the Menehune Fish Pond, people say, oh, there's the Menehune Fish Pond, there's the Menehune Fish Pond. But many of us do not know the significance of this pond.
Yeah, the pond itself, of course, is Alekoko are the Menehune names for it. Also, we have many things that are built by the Menehunes, for example, Poleahu and things like that, other heiaus, and this pond right here. That tells us that it's in a certain age. So we're in the 1200s, or if not earlier, when we're discussing anything built by the Menehunes. And so now it gives us a reference, a time of history. The time of Menehune essentially is coming all the way up into the 1450s, in which they begin to incorporate into the Kanaka. To keep in mind, Menehune is separate from the Kanakas, two different things. And prior to the Menehune were the Mu people itself. But 1,000 years ago, we had this duality of cultures of the Kanakas and Menehunes living side by side. The Kanakas had their own kings and queens and their own mo'okuauhau or genealogy. So did the Menehune. As you come up into the turn of the century censuses, Menehune is still a very distinct class. It's critical that we take out any of the 1910s, 30s, 40s references to leprechauns. That is just a fabrication that was done in the 1920s. So move away. Menehunes are real people. They have a real time and place in our history.
Okay, so who were the Menehune?
Menehunes were if you look at the grander scheme of our history, the Mu are the first. The Mu are the banana. Today we are the children of taro. The Mu were the children of the banana itself. And so they were the first group into Hawaii, into this island. And then in time, the Menehune is the second group that migrates over and begins. And now they have the same history as the Menehune later had with the Kanakas. And that the Menehunes fought and intermarried within the Mu and then continued up. Then 1,000 years ago, the big waves of Kanaka, what we know today as the Kanaka, are coming in 1,000 years ago, and now with the Menehune are beginning to battle each other, also staying separate, and then eventually intermarrying with each other, and then absorbing it. So the Menehune absorbed the Mu, the Kanakas absorbed the Menehune in their turn.
So where were the Menehune from?
Just like the Mu and Kanakas, south. Somewhere south, and again, whether they're coming out of the Tongan sphere, they're coming out of the Samoan sphere, the Cook Island sphere. These are all power spheres as it comes up through the last 2,000 years. So they're either coming out of those spheres. So it could have been a Cook Island sphere, it could have been a very early Tahitian sphere, or it could have been a Samoan sphere. It's one of those spheres at one of those times.
So growing up as youngsters, we hear about the Menehune. I mean, people know about the Menehune, talk about the Menehune, but nobody knew the Menehune. All we knew was they were shorter, smaller in structure. They were very, very strong.
Keep that in now. It is a fact that anytime you have a population under 500 people, your DNA is now beginning to inbreed. Any population under 500 years, inbreeding will occur. And so within a very few generations, the first thing in the population under 500 is the stature. Your height begins to decrease. Good examples of that are the Eskimos. Another good example is in Newfoundland, for example. These are the English white settlers, 1600s, but their populations were under 500. They interbred. That stature began to get smaller. That's the first thing that happens in any gene pool under 500. Clearly, in the very old days, those population centers of over 500 didn't happen until a little bit later on. So there was, in terms of the gene pool itself, is one. However, just to keep that in mind, that some of it is essentially is based on that 1910s, 20s, 30s leprechaun association to the Menehunes, you know, the short little fat squat thing. No. Today the Menehune are all around us. You know, there are families that are still related to the Menehune, and these families still know it. They know they're part of it. One of the signs of the Menehune clan is the red hair. So anytime I see a Hawaiian or Polynesian in any way, shape, or form with streaks of red hair, my first thought is, you're a Menehune. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it's a trait that is from the Menehune, and it's in the Kanakas that we look around today. You know, that streak of red. So
you know, there's a very, very interesting story, because I would, and I'm sure a lot of the viewing audience will probably say, when you get on streak of red, your hair ehu because you surfer or you know, like you get the bleach.
Yeah, but that surfer stuff, that's in our lifetime, really, you know. But ultimately, there is a trait in the DNA that does give that reddish hair to the Polynesian, and that reddish hair associated with the Menehune.
So why doesn't anybody say, you know, like when you walk around, you say, oh, you Hawaiian, you Chinese, you Portuguese, you Japanese, you Korean, you Samoan. Why doesn't anybody walk around and say, I'm part Menehune?
I think the first one is that the word Menehune has been so butchered in the last 100 years. We have incredible misconceptions of who really the Menehunes are. It is something to be proud of. It is a heritage to be proud of. And I think as more and more people separate that European fantasy of the leprechaun away from it into a real people, and then as more people kind of start to respect that for what they really are, then I think you're going to have a lot of people who are going to come and say, my grandfather told me we have Menehune blood. You know, so a lot more of that's going to come out.
So is there any truth that the majority of the Menehune or the Menehune did work just generally at night?
You have to remember that all legends have the metaphors. All of the great characters in history are born under mythical circumstances. They are raised in mythical forms by mythical spirits and deities and material. It's the metaphor. Now, so in one of the metaphors to that, you know, in terms of the Menehunes working in one night, is that once they begin, they will finish it. So it doesn't, in one night could be the time period of whatever it is. So even though for this pond, it might have taken them 3, 4, 5 months to build it, but it's in one period of time. It was done from the beginning to end in one. And metaphorically, in the stories, as it gets pushed out, then there would be the metaphoric length of done it in a night. The other one too is, give them one shrimp. But however, there is a payment, that runs true to all of the Menehune stories. Yes, the Menehune will build it for you. Yes, you will reward them for their work. Their engineering abilities is incredible.
You know what, and if you just joined us, I'm with here, my good friend right over here, Encyclopedia Britannica, Randy Wichman. Now, Randy, so when you go through the Hawaiian Island archipelago, you talk about the Big Island, or you talk about Maui, or Kaho'olawe, or Lanai, or Molokai, Oahu, what have you. Really, there's not a lot of reference to Menehune except Menehune Fish Pond, Kauai, Menehune Ditch, Waimea. I mean, it seems as though this island is
so I assumed early on that, so what's up, this rock's got a monopoly on Menehune? No way. Oahu has many things built by the Menehune. The Menehune are stretched out through the entire Hawaiian Islands. I think at this particular point, that once people disassociate themselves with the leprechaun baloney stories and actually start to understand that this is a real people, then to begin to track it that way, there's going to be a lot more. There is one very important manuscript in the Kauai Historical Society. It was collected in the 1970s by this man named Reverend Akina. And Reverend Akina was hired by William Hyde Rice to help collect the stories because he was writing his book on Hawaiian legends. This Menehune manuscript is about 300 pages long and has yet to be even been translated. But anybody with a little bit of Hawaiian knowledge can realize that in this manuscript, it humanizes the entire story. That we need to get published. That is going to change the entire perspective of who the Menehunes are, and we can begin to get away from this this ridiculousness that surrounds the Menehune, and they begin to treat them as a real class of people.
So, well then let me ask you this question. Why has it not been published after over 40 plus years?
Again, you know, there's so much material out there is still unpublished. And so we try to do what we can. It's in the list of things that need to be published, but that needs to go soon. You know, Frances Fraser had a look at it. She loved it right there. Cal Naismith has had a look at it, and he's probably going to be the one who's going to do the actual translation of that. He's the most prolific of all the Hawaiian translators right now, and he's born and raised from our island. And Leina Ala last year did her hula based on this manuscript, and in it describes 20 battalions, their men battalions, their leaders, their second in commands, and their functions. Also right after that is 8 women battalions. So out of this manuscript are clearly the formation of the Menehune battalions. The 8 women battalion, their names, the second in commands, and their functions are all there. Leinala and Cal turned that into Oli. They went into Mary Monarch, took second place overall. So that is creeping back in to our awareness, but it's only a beginning in terms of things that are coming out of this manuscript.
You know, not only is that creeping back into the awareness, but it is a story that is not necessarily talked about or told, and in this case it was through mele and hula. I mean, yeah. Talk about chicken skin, or talk about something that just taught many people much about many that people never knew of.
Yeah, no, there's so much in history that is still silent. You know, we still have a long way to go, you know, in terms, but not only just for our Hawaiian culture, but all other cultures here in Hawaii. The early beginnings of all roots of the cultures, you know, the roots of the Chinese on Kauai, the roots of the Japanese, you know, those are all kind of a little bit on the misunderstood side, or it's a far more complicated in terms of, you know, its beginning. Same thing, yeah, Hawaiian culture, but all other cultures that suffer from the same shadows that are still there in its early beginnings, and then we'll break that in time.
So Randy Wichman, lastly, inquiring minds would definitely want to know, what is the significance, or why was this fish pond built by the Menehune?
You know, in one sense, they saw the way this oxbow was covered. So the natural aspects of where we stand right here. This is a great cut in the Hulaia River. They were able to see that if we closed off this whole section, and the engineering that they built in order to keep the currents and the floods from destroying that 900 yards of wall that is the Menehune or the Alekoko, it's still solid today. So that engineering of way over 1,000 years ago is still really, really good. Now the ponds itself and the fish that's there is wealth. From a Hawaiian perspective, fish ponds and everything is true wealth. This is your ability to feed the people. This is the ali'i's control over the bad times. And ali'i's first and foremost responsibility is to feed the people and make sure everything is proper, everyone grows, you know. If starvation comes along, those ponds are the key to survival. It's the key to the ali'i wealth. It's the key to everyone's well-being, as the taro fields are, but as the fish ponds are side by side. Both those things are the bastions against starvation.
Aloha Kauai, Glenn Tamagawa from Puakea Golf Course. Just want to inform you of our upcoming event happening this coming Saturday, February 9th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's a Callaway Demo Day. Callaway will be introducing some new drivers and irons, the Epic Flash and the Epic 19 Pro, and I guess they have a combo of Pro and the cavity back irons that's coming out. I encourage all of you enthusiastic golfers to come out and try those clubs, because those clubs are going to be making a lot of noise, not by the sound of the ball that you hit, but a lot of noise as far as distance and how the club reacts to the ball as the ball comes off the club. I recently attended the Century Tournament of Champions in Maui at the beginning of the year and was able to see Xander Schauffele, a close friend of mine, along with his parents and his brother, to see him win the championship, and it was very exciting, and he's currently playing those same clubs that you will be able to try out on the 9th of February. So once again, just to remind you, it's happening this Saturday, February 9th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Callaway Demo Day. Hope to see all of you here. Walaau.
Aloha, Randy Wichman here at King Auto Center. You folks in the market for a new vehicle, we got you covered. You're looking for a truck, all new Ram 1500. If you're looking for a fuel economy, all new 2019 Honda Insight, come on down, stop by. For my friends and family, come ask for Randy at King Auto Center. Be lifetime friends. Aloha.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Walaau. As always, we'd like to sincerely thank each and every one of you for watching Walaau and making us a part of your weekend and week out festivities here in our beautiful Garden Island of Kauai. Remember, Walaau is aired every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, channel 128. That's right, channel 128, 7 a.m., 12 noon, 4 p.m., 7 p.m., 12 midnight, every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Spectrum Cable 128, 7, 12, 4, 7, and 12. Also want to let everybody know that just recently they did the second phase of the Alekoko or the Alekoko Fish Pond. So for further information about the next available time that we can all kokua, a great community event, stay tuned to Walaau and we'll let everyone know the updates of the next cleanup scheduled for the Menehune Fish Pond here on our beautiful Garden Island, Kauai. And just as a reminder, for all of you golfers out there, calling all golfers, this coming Saturday, February 9th, that's right, Callaway is going to be doing a demonstration. Callaway golf, Callaway balls, Callaway visors, Callaway hats, Callaway drivers, Callaway irons. You can go there to the Puakea Golf Course. Call the Puakea Golf Course, 245-8756, 245-8756. Further details, ask for our very dear friend Glenn Tamagawa. That's going to be happening at the Puakea Golf Course from 9 a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. It is time for us to heli on. As always, let's all continue to take care of our families, our friends, the neighbors of Malahini and Indiana. And we'll talk to you next week. Only stay safe, Kauai. On Walaau. On Walaau.
Walaau, 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 Walaau.